Welcome to Around the Jewish World in 613 seconds. Today we are traveling 5,088 miles from Jerusalem, Israel, all the way to Shanghai, China, to meet Dorothy Liu. Dorothy, how are you doing?
Hello, everybody. I'm very good. Thank you. Nice to meet you.
It's wonderful to meet you. It's a real pleasure to meet you. And first of all, mazel tov to you, because I know you had a baby just 4 weeks ago, baby Ezekiel. How's it all going?
Yeah, he's great. He's a very strong Jewish boy. Thank you.
Just the one big challenge that I understand you've been facing is your husband was away on business in Sydney when the whole coronavirus outbreak began. And what happened?
Yes. So we flew to Sydney, before the Chinese New Year, and we were very happy to celebrate and spend time with family. But unfortunately, the situation getting worse in China, because I have a stable job in Shanghai. I had to fly back to resume my work, and we thought, oh, maybe just Brad and my elder son can stay there for the safety reason. Who knows? The COVID-19 just spread over the world, and so far they can't come back because China closed abroad, and it's the government just not allow any foreigner coming to China.
Unbelievable. So
yeah,
you were in Shanghai, your husband and your older son were in Sydney, and the border was closed and they were unable to get home.
Yes, they are unable to get home, and I just delivered a new boy by myself, that's a challenge.
I'm going to invite Brad to join the conversation, because I'm sure everyone's interested to meet your husband, Brad, who's all the way in Sydney. Let's just invite him to join the conversation. Welcome, Brad. How are you doing?
Thank you. Thank you. Great to be here with you. How are you?
Yeah, great. So our listeners have just heard, big mazel tov to you. You've had a baby in the last month. You have not even been able to meet your baby because of the coronavirus. All the borders are closed and you're stuck in Sydney with your older child. How's life going? That's a crazy time.
It is indeed. It is indeed. Thank God for FaceTime and, and WhatsApp calls and WeChat. I think life today is a lot easier than it would have been, 50 years ago, 20 years ago without the technology. So it's very difficult being apart, but, we FaceTime a lot, and it makes it a bit easier.
Now, we can hear that you have clearly an Australian accent, so you're originally from Australia. Dorothy's obviously a native Chinese lady. How did you guys meet? Tell us your story. We're so fascinated to hear.
We'll go back a step. Before I picked up the Australian accent, I was born and grew up in South Africa.
Oh, wow.
I left South Africa when I was 15 and moved to Sydney with my family. We immigrated to Sydney, finished school and grew up here. And at 28 or 25, I moved to Shanghai to pursue a business opportunity. And that's where I met my beautiful Eshet Chayil Dorothy, or Devorah, as she's better known. And what can I say? It's been an incredible journey. It's funny how the world works. Had I not moved from South Africa to Australia, then to China, then got involved with Chabad, and had these things not happened, we would never have met. So, it's the world works in wonderful ways, and like you mentioned, we now have 2 beautiful boys. We met over there. Dorothy went through the process of Giur. Together we went through the process of conversion with the Chabad. And without Chabad, that would never have happened. Without Chabad being in China, that would never have happened.
I just understand. So I understand that, Dorothy, you are a convert to Judaism, and so welcome to the club.
Yeah.
That's amazing, and it's very inspiring. What led you to want to become Jewish, and what is Jewish life like in Shanghai?
Yeah, so to answer your first question, I think it's always awesome to have a faith that, for most of the Chinese, we are not born in any religions. However, from the old story and the current situation, Chinese are always very friendly with Jewish, because we found something very similar, like the traditions. We care the family as the most important part of the life, and we respect our parents and our friendship. So I mean, from the heart, from bottom of the heart, I really respect Judaism. And I read some book before I started the conversion process. I was very inspired by all the laws and the regulations and the beautiful stories that the Jewish people made. Such a strong, race, and they just never give up the religion. Doesn't matter, what happened in the world and what's challenging to them. So this is quite motivated to me. And also, most important is I met Brad, and I just feel, very warm, very sweet. His family give the love to me, and I want to be part of the, the team. And then to answer your second question, I think the life in Shanghai, I would say yes, it's very good because we have, the Chabad support, and also if there's no any politics or whatever, that against Judaism, so it's getting on very well. But also we also faced very difficult times, like there's no dairy and cheese that we could easily to approach in Australia, UK, and other countries. Or we only have the community, and without the community, that we can't have the service, because the Judaism is not formally recognized by China government. So yes and no, but so far we are doing great.
So just to understand, in terms of infrastructure, you've obviously got the Chabad house. Is there Jewish schools? Are there kosher shops? How does that work in terms of leading a fully practicing Jewish life? What's that like?
Yes. Yeah, so good question. We have very delegated rabbi and rabbis in Shanghai, and very great community in Shanghai. And there's 3 Chabad in Shanghai, and they all offer the Jewish schools. So our elder boy started early Jewish education since 10 months, so which is great. And also they have a kosher market that we can get meat and the kosher food, mostly are imported, or like a local certified, authorized kosher food. So that's fine. But the resources are always limited. It's not easy even for them to get a variety of the foods. But I mean, for the life, it's not so difficult because we have the Chabad's help in Shanghai.
Sure. How many Jews are there living in Shanghai altogether? Is there any estimate on numbers, Brad or Dorothy?
Around 3,000.
Oh, really?
Were the last numbers that I remember hearing. A lot are part of the Secret Service.
Really?
So we only see them at very specific times of the year.
Sure.
But like Dorothy mentioned, there's 3 Chabad houses that are spread out around the city. It's a very large city, and each one does have its own kindergarten, and I think it goes up to the age of 4. So it's very much early learning. There is no primary school or high school. That right. Doesn't exist. So there is no Jewish education for the older kids. Living in Shanghai is very interesting. It's almost like being in a shtetl, because we're a small community. We're all living very close, in very close proximity to the shul. That's where we shop. That's where our kids go to school. That's where we daven. That's where we spend the chagim and the different activities throughout the year. Whereas growing up in a community like Sydney, which is, very big, schools and lots of restaurants, lots to offer. It almost, you get a bit lost sometimes in it. Whereas, when it's so small and isolated, it really kind of, it feels like you're living back in the shtetl days. So it's a very unique experience.
Do you have a mikveh in Shanghai? Like
Yeah.
a ritual bath? You have a mikveh. Wow. You've got a Jewish school, you've got Chabad, you've got synagogues, you've got a mikveh, you've got kosher food. It's quite amazing. Now, of course, Shanghai has a lot of historical relevance to Jewish people because, first of all, during the Second World War, many Jewish people fled to Shanghai, including the famous Yeshivas Mir. The Mir Yeshiva moved to Shanghai. That was a Lithuanian yeshiva. They went all the way there and they established the yeshiva in Shanghai. So I'm curious to know, what other Jewish history would I find if I'd come to Shanghai? And is there a lot of educational opportunities for Jews to learn about the past in Shanghai?
Yeah, definitely. You know, Shanghainese are very very friendly with the Jewish, as you mentioned, during the Second World War. And China is the only country open the border to Jewish and without any, you know, passport permission. So there's a few synagogue in Shanghai, very old synagogue were established at that times, and some synagogue are already protected by the China government as you know, historical artifact. So so we have, you know, for people who can visit this synagogue as a tourist sightseeing, and also we have this huge synagogue which is very close to our in-town Chabad, and they open 4 times a year for the Yom Tov, you know, for the big hugs. Right. And they allow Jewish to go there to celebrate and to memorize our, you know, the past times. So it's a wonderful offering from the Shanghai government. I think in Shanghai you can find a lot of Jewish footprint. Right. And beautiful stories. And if you talk to a grandma or grandpa, they can even tell you like what's their relationship with Jewish. So this is very interesting.
Sure. So there's 2,000-3,000 Jews living there. Are those 2,000-3,000 Jews expats who've moved to China, or are any of them second generation Chinese Jews?
They're all imported.
Right.
China's known for exporting, but the Jewish community is purely imported. Right. Hundreds of years ago, there was a Jewish community in northern China, in Harbin. There is a Jewish cemetery still there. There is a synagogue still there, but it is not functioning. There is no community left over there. When the Communist Party came into power, the Jews all left.
Sure.
The Second World War Jews all left. And it was only, you know, many years later that we then returned.
Now, let me ask you this. In terms of, let's meet your son. Let's meet your son. That's really nice.
Hey.
Hello. This is Geordie. This is Brad and Dorothy's son. It's really nice to meet you, Geordie. Shalom. How are you?
Shalom.
So cute. Dorothy, can I ask you to tell me in a sentence, what does it mean to you to be a Jew?
To be a Jew make me a bad person. I think through the conversion and also the Jewish life afterwards, I really understand what's the most important to family, you know, as a mother, as a wife, and as a daughter. And I also learn how to be a bad person of myself. And more than that, it's not only about individual, it's all about the community. Because, you know, when we are all brothers and sisters, and we have the same faith, and even though Jewish person are spread over the world, and however, we still feel we like a family. And I had a very meaningful trip to Israel a couple of years ago, you know, and that time I haven't finished conversion. But afterwards, I told all my family, Chinese family, and also my Australian and American family, you know, I feel like I'm already part of that. I feel that's just a homeland to me. I don't feel that's strange. I feel I'm part of that.
All your brothers and sisters all over the world watching this, what's your message to them in a sentence?
I'm in Shanghai. So if any Jewish want to come to Shanghai, I'm your sister. So welcome.
Absolutely beautiful. How do you say Shabbat Shalom in Chinese?
安息日快乐。
I'll let you say that. I don't think I'm going to be able to repeat that. I must say, this has been a very eye-opening conversation. Dorothy and Brad, I wish you ongoing success. I hope you'll be reunited really soon. And please invite me to the Brit on Zoom. I'd love to join. And Mazal Tov.
Thank you,
Thank
definitely.
you.
All the
Nice to
best.
talking to you.